in club. It's just so, right?
What's up?
Gary has in clubs.
Oh,
Yeah.
In the screen. Yeah.
Hey, look at
If you're trying to sit out for it, Gary.
that. That's a nice bit of peer pressure.
Call me.
No, TJ, yeah. He did well with the clubs the other night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Cheers, Dom.
No, it's already on, though.
Didn't get in the button.
You're involved.
The pretzel was nice, Gary.
Thank you.
And what's also good is that you're relaxed enough to talk as well. That shows you that your diaphragm's working fine. Or rather, shows you that you're not braced, at least. It's difficult to tell from this position, Gary, but if that, I think that would be your left leg. If your left leg is parallel with your spine, that's a really good position. You got yourself in there. And it would be doing you the world of good.
I can't tell.
Yeah, that's a fair one.
No.
Really good, Amber.
Good.
Yeah, the usual level of competence there, Santiago. Not all of us are made of elastic bands, though. That's nice, Tom. And TJ is joining us after all. Marvelous.
Good.
Thank you for the t-shirt.
Hey, you gotta thank Amber for that, mate. I was just the middleman.
Yeah, thank you, Amber.
Thank you. Glad you like it.
Yeah,
I found the printer they are soft.
yeah.
Corey is to think.
Hopefully we're next
Really
year
nice.
at the-
Corey. Yeah.
Yeah, Rob's intended on joining us next year.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe upping the brick contingent.
yeah.
Good. Good.
Right then, TJ, we can just start off with a bit of rolling to get yourself warmed up.
You're not on yet. I have it on.
Go through the
Sorry.
rollings. Sorry,
I'm sorry. I didn't realize our video wasn't on.
that's all right.
Mhm.
So, mate, if you can just go through the rolling suite a couple of times and then into the pretzel. I'm going to do a little bit of gobbing off first, and then once I start people on the with the Indian clubs, you'll be able to catch us up by then. So
Mhm.
we're just going to talk a little on the Indian clubs and why they're so useful and so productive with what we do. The Indian clubs are sort of principally about speed and explosiveness at times. However, you can only reliably produce speed and explosiveness if your technique is correct. Certainly, if you're going to recycle it and do reps of. If you're able to produce speed or explosiveness without quality, well, if you try to do reps, that the lack of quality will be immediately noticeable. And that should be apparent to you. And that's when you put the blocks on. So you'll have a bit of a, well, you know, there's always a trade-off between two things, and it's usually stability and mobility. With the kettlebells, it's wrong. With the Indian clubs, certainly when you're trying to acquire competence, the trade-off's usually between speed and technique. But then once the technique is right, that's when the speed comes. So what I'm saying is, for those who are trying to get familiar with the clubs and the techniques, is first of all, concentrate on getting it slow time. Concentrate on getting the feel, and concentrate on trying to get one good rep. Once you can get one good rep and you get the feel out of that, that is when you can start to try to cycle it. And when you cycle it, you are also recycling the energy. It's a lot like good running technique. You hear from a lot of people that running is bad for your knees. If someone ever tells you that running is bad for your knees, correct them and say, no, it's not. But the way you run is bad for your knees, you know, because if you run correctly, if your technique is correct, you will return energy into the system and recycle it, so you don't have to keep creating new energy. That's what makes you a real good runner and really efficient. However, if every stride you are putting all of your energy into whacking your joints together because your technique and mechanics are all to cock, well, that's going to be very inefficient because you have to keep recreating new energy. But also it's going to be quite destructive on the joints because that's not the way they're supposed to be used. And so you'll get a similar thing with the Indian clubs. So do not sacrifice technique for speed, although you are also going to have to flair with speed to get your technique. And it's just about being honest with yourself and also being disciplined, because everyone's always going to like the feel of speed, especially because if you get it going quick, people who watch you might think you're competent or might think you're good at it. And it's always a nice feeling if somebody thinks that. Well, you know, even better feeling is the feeling of doing it right. So you'll have to mix the two, but just be honest with yourself with what you're doing while you are mixing it. Because if you get to a level of competence where you can compensate and go quickly and sacrifice some technique, and that allows you to go on to the next technique and the next technique, you're always building on sand. And what will happen is you'll eventually get to a glass ceiling that you can't get any better. But also continually practicing at that glass ceiling is not going to improve any of your dependencies. But then a mindset that allows somebody to get to the glass ceiling isn't going to allow them to go back to where they should have gone before. And so build it honestly from the ground up, focusing on your dependencies, like we should do with all movement. It's a principle and a law, a rule, if you will, that applies to all movement, you know. And so it applies in the development sequence. It applies when you're using Indian clubs. So what we'll do is we'll try to go through the movements in a sequence of complexity and try to start with the most simple, and then we'll progress through to the most complex. Anyone, any questions just yet? And I'll try to just touch on one or two things from the previous movement projects. Everything which I was saying there would, for instance, apply to Timur and his newfound skill, or new developed. Well, that wasn't found. He didn't get it by accident. It was through hard work and discipline. His newfound skill of being able to balance on 2 points in the quadruped position. What Timur is now able to do, you could take the leg out to the rear and then lift the hand. Now, what Timur should try to do from here is start practicing that, so he can reliably produce it each time he wants to. That's like a definition of competence. And keep there until he's rock solid with it. When he's rock solid with it, then you can try bringing the arm up to here and getting competent there, and then come to that position. Because what might happen, and what would often happen with people, is once they can do that, you get them trying to do that all of the time, to go straight to the end point, and them never getting it. But because they were encouraged from this, they then try to overreach, and then continually try to overreach, and either just stay with that lack of competence, or eventually give up and think that it's not their fault and that there's something broken. Well, the only thing broken there would be your approach. And so, just to reiterate the things I was saying before and say apply it to Timur there, that's what I wanted to say to you individually. That's what your next step should be with that, Timur, is just focus just on that, on just lifting the hand until you can repeat it at will, on demand. When you've got that level of competence, then start trying to go further, because you will have opened the door slightly to going further now. And it's always really encouraging to, really tempting rather, to overreach. So does that make sense, Timo?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, and you're right.
Yeah.
When you try to go the whole way, it falls apart.
Yeah, always does. You know, and
Right.
it's a typical bloke thing, like, and well, hopefully, well, I don't think Reese is with us. Other than Reese, I think all of us should be old enough and wise enough. You know, right? I got my trusty clubs with me. First exercise. I will perform most of them on my knees for the most part, because I'll disappear from the camera if I stand up. But because there's a good number of us in the session tonight who are going to be going from the knees, you know, it'll be more relevant if I can get empathy for how it's feeling for you. The first exercise is just going to be a slam. And what happens in the slam is you cross over and then breath in, just slam them down. Now you can see where I'm holding them. I held them at the ends. Maybe, yeah, I've got just about enough room there. But certainly, if I was sat on my heels, I wouldn't have the room almost at all. In fact, I wouldn't have the room at all. So if you're going to slam and you're sitting on your heels, unless you've got really short arms, have them in your hands still, but hold the ends. And that forceful out breath is going to create tension and stability here. Really important. The big full in breath will put everything in position and lock it out there. And then the forceful out breath will replace that tension given by the big air bubble, what's called a valsalva. Will replace that tension, the muscle tension pushing out. One of the reasons for that, I'll talk you through the reasons for that after we've had a couple of demonstrations. So, come on, Timor, you're dying to get at it, like a greyhound straining in the slips.
All right.
Anyone recognise that bit of Shakespeare?
Now, I don't know, but I'm going to be able to reach over.
Mate, you got the right play. It was Henry V.
Let's see.
Thank God for Harry and King George and St. George, rather. Yeah,
I like that.
right, so there's obviously a failure to maintain extension there. And so get your breathing, get your arms overhead, and then get your breathing again. Okay, just pause a second, Timor. I've just talked through a couple of principles.
Right.
What I touched on before, which I said I was going to wait before I said, was the importance of creating tension here. Now, that's going to be for two really important reasons. One is to hold yourself in place, because where I want to produce the downward force, you actually produce it from your glutes. But anyway, you want to generate the force here with your contact with the air, and then slam it down through this. Now, to do that, it's got to come through. You've got to transfer the power through your core. Now, if you're generating the power in the right place, i.e. in your contact with the floor, then it's got to come through here, be controlled through your solid core into the arms, where you're then going to slam down. And then while you're slamming them down, you don't want the energy to leak out of here either. Now, that's the correct way to generate the power. A really bad way of generating the power would be to arch back and then come forward to try to throw the arms down like that. If you do that, you'll see what happened with Timor there. The moment his core came forward, well, he was overbalancing. Now, a good illustration of the importance of core stability. If you think about if you're knocking in a fence post. So there's my fence post here. I give it a whack with the hammer. Well, I'll tell you what, it'll be a little bit better that way round. I give it a whack with the hammer. All of the force is applied here. It goes straight through the center of the fence post, down to the point, and then the point goes into the ground. Fine, that all works correctly. Now, imagine if the middle of this was made out of rubber. If it had no stiffness or tension in the middle, you would generate the force here, bang, and then it would go doing, yoing, 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 yoing. Very little or none of it will be transferred through that bendy and elastic middle down to the point. So that's one of the main characteristics and requirements of the core, is to be able to be stiff, to transfer and control force generation. Because ostensibly we always create our force through our connection to the floor. If you're going to project force, you have to first of all push into an object that's oppositional to the direction of the force. I mean, that's maybe going a bit deep on the physics of it, like, but that's the truth of it. So if you're generating mostly we generate our force in the hips by pushing down into the floor, which then sends the force back the other way and comes out here where you can do something useful with it, like either slam clubs down or push or punch or pull. So if we go back to Timur, what we want to see, and he might have to start off sitting back for the first few reps, is keeping this nice and stiff and tall. And then big breath in, out. Once he gets confident like that, he might then want to come up and he might want to think about widening his stance. If he widens the stance, he's going to be more stable, but he's going to be less resistant to buckling and coming forward. So we'll have to get the balance right between that, between coming here and being more resistant because those hips can push you forward and put you into a plank, or the stability of the wider base. You just get what feels right. So, Timo, let's see you first of all.
Okay.
If you want to, let's have the first few reps from sitting back on your heels. And you might have to just basically grab the ends of the clubs for that, like.
Okay. You can't see, but I'm on my heel.
Yeah, I can see enough from there, mate. Integrate your breathing. Look straight ahead, not down, mate. If you look down, that's going to tempt you to overbalance. It's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
No, I know. But
And let's try one going into tall kneeling then, mate.
Okay.
So you could do it under that.
Now remember, think about those glutes getting you in a plank. Excellent, mate.
Good.
Now what you might want to do is produce that one rep as you did there. And then if the balance is getting challenged, sit back down onto the heels.
Okay.
Those first few reps of sitting down, sitting back on the heels, you could see how that quality transferred to that first rep when you went up on your knees. So,
Yes, it is.
so just do a couple sat down again, and then
All right. On the heels.
yeah. Excellent. Now, when you go into tall kneeling, do it on an in-breath.
Okay.
Keep that plank. Excellent, mate.
And practice. Do it on your heels, though.
Excellent. Really good. And one of the best things there, you can see you've got awareness that your balance was going to be challenged, so you reacted appropriately. That's brilliant. You'll very quickly be able to transfer that into being able to do that in tall kneeling. Well done, mate.
That's a great transition.
Excellent, mate. That's just really emblematic of what you've been doing recently, mate. Excellent.
No, thank you, Steve.
You're next, Tom. Tom, you're getting a little bit of an energy leak in your knees. I don't know if you knew that. That's better. That's good, mate. Next up is Rob. Excellent, mate. Rob, that's brilliant. Really, really good. You can see you're generating stacks of power, but it's all getting transferred into the clubs. Outstanding. I'll just push on quick, Rob, because I mean, carry on doing as much of that as you like, because that's top notch, mate. But I'll just, for time constraints, pass on to Corey. Tom, when you watch the video, mate, look at the difference between your knees and Corey's knees. You were getting a bit of an energy leak in your knees.
I was using them as shock absorbers. I shouldn't have, but
well, that's the thing. If the energy is getting directed in the right places, then they shouldn't be required for that. Like,
yeah.
You see what I mean? I mean, they're better off absorbing the shock through a bend than just smashing together. So, you know, I work out, get a feel for how to redirect that energy correctly. Well, yeah, Corey, bang on, mate. Bang on.
I almost feel like I locked my back out, Tom. You probably get it out. Because I can use my knees, but if I sit up straight, put my chest out, yeah, I feel stable.
And that's the thing. It's about feeling stable. You shouldn't feel one particular part taking the hit, so to speak. Like, I mean, you shouldn't lock your knees out as such. You should just be standing there and directing the energy correctly.
Yeah, it's like I feel the energy go through my upper body down.
Yeah. That looks a bit better, Tom. But Brooke, should we go over to you? I'll just remind you, you're on mute. You can stay that way if you wish.
Yeah. Nice shirt too, Tom.
I keep hitting the clubs together. Let's see.
They're resilient.
I keep like hitting.
Right. You not get them either side. No. Stay that same direction. But you obviously have to take the clubs. You take the left club in the left hand finishes on the left hand side of the body. club in the right, finishes at the S, like that.
Are
Excellent.
they supposed to cross up here?
Yeah,
do they-
cross at the top. Don't
Mm.
necessarily have to if you're trying to acquire the pattern.
Uh-huh.
If crossing them just makes it fail, then get the pattern first
Okay.
and then progress to crossing them over. Something I've probably mentioned a lot. It's a big thing neurologically. I mean, I heard it described as a near neurological miracle that we can cross the midline with our limbs and then not completely bamboozle the brain. And so if you start in that crossed position, you know, that does make it a challenge for the brain. Core, Brooke, your core just looks rock solid there. You're so stable.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that you're producing a bit of violence into the action. That's really good, that though. That's excellent. Gary, do you just want to watch, mate? Or want to have a go at the slam? Just want to watch. That's all right. No, it's Jules next.
I've got a quick question. Where do you get the clubs from?
Amazon, mate. Do you want me to send you the link? What they are £1 in weight, and I think it's about 20 odd quid for a pair of £1 ones if you find the right link. You know.
I'll have a look some them.
Yeah.
There's a link in the form.
Oh,
That might be to .com. That though, Corey.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Well,
Well, I put in two, but the one in the UK was like 30 pounds. So
Where do you buy the?
yeah, that's because you'd be paying for delivery to the States. Amazon can't get its head around that, like, if you see what I mean.
yeah.
So, but also just for the general training with it, you see, if you say like get 2 half-liter bottles of either Coke, Pellegrino, whatever, fill them with water, that will certainly do for trying to acquire the patterns. Because there really is just something magical that happens when you get an object in your hands. I very much suspect because we are tool-using creatures. I think there's a different circuit in the brain that gets used when we start using the tool.
Wait, did you say in 2 weeks? I just quickly looked and I found £1, 1, 10, 2, 5, 10, and 15 pounds.
£1, mate. We're all about speed and control rather than trying to get strength on him. So, Jules, you got your planks, mate?
I've got my woods, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it works pretty good.
Mm.
Oops. That's I toppled because I looked up, I think.
Yeah.
Look at Jackie Chan.
Yeah. Integrate your breathing, mate. That looks good, nice and solid. This is a good camera angle, this. If you look down at Jules's feet, you'll see when he slams, his heels rise slightly. And that's because of all of that power getting generated in his core, goes down into the floor, and then when the floor sends it back, it's enough to actually push him up into the air. That's great, that, Jules. Santiago, you're next up. I'm rushing through this a little bit just on the time concern.
Cool, thank you.
When we get to the more complex ones. Excellent. Really good, Santiago. Great use of the breath. Next up is TJ.
On control.
Now, if this is the first time you've done it, you just go through the motions on the first couple until you're happy that you've got that. That's not bad, mate.
Can't quite figure out how to not lean right.
So you want to look ahead. I try to get tall in the position.
Don't kill it all. Maybe not so hard.
And so, TJ, you want to try to get tall. Get tall and you still stay sat on your knees. Get tall and be looking straight ahead. Synchronize your breathing. And remember, it's so the tips of the fingers are pointing down towards the floor. I think you've got long arms, mate. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want to collapse the spine into flexion at all. You want to keep that big, tall posture. Remember what I was saying at the start? You don't want to generate power by bending the spine over. You want the spine up and straight so it allows the force you create. Yes, excellent, mate.
Oh, watch the dog.
We nearly had a casualty then. That would have been X-rated.
Oh boy. I can't walk away for a minute. You lose it?
Well, TJ, that was spot on. That you carry on having a little practice of that, and then Amber.
Me? I'm gonna try it. We'll see. My 4.
No try, Amber. Either do or not
Alright.
do.
You can do it, Amber.
Oh, the camera is not showing. Wow. Oh, wrong.
You have to shorten your grip on them there, yeah.
Hey, it working.
Excellent. So integrate your breathing.
Yeah, I think I'll stay sitting down.
That
Yeah,
looks really good. Do you want to try tall
that
kneeling?
is helping. Good, good.
Do you want to try
Good.
tall kneeling?
Oh, that'll be trouble.
No trying, Steve.
That's it. Do or not do. Good point. Well presented, TJ. Use your breathing.
All right, what?
Outstanding, Amber.
All right, you're only getting one.
Fair enough. I won't be a boy who asks for more.
No, it's good.
Right, All right,
All
next
right.
movement. Next movement is an extension of the slam, which is the hip hinge.
All right.
So we can get even more power into
That
the movement
one.
because we're getting a greater range of movement in the hips. So I'll demonstrate it both from the kneeling position and from the standing position. So from the front first, what we're after doing, clubs held like this, wrap them round yourself. You come forward at the hips, not at the back. The back stays straight with that lumbar curve still there. Reason for that is, if I bend over here and try to get the generate force by unfurling my back. Well, I get next to hardly any force out of doing that. But if your back is bent over like this, there'll be a parking brake on your hips. It won't allow you to generate all of the force that you can generate at the hips, because your body ain't going to pass that through a flexed spine, because it'll injure itself. And the spine is so precious, it won't allow that to happen. So it's got a parking brake that it puts on, and if the back bends over like that, says, no, I'm not sending up any power from here. So it'll slow you right down. So you want that nice stiff spine from here, and then the movement in the arms, probably best shown here, is like this, opening out. There's a tendency for people to go and swing up. It's not. It's only ever back. It's just that because you're also getting the extension in and the arms finish higher, people looking at the movement might think there's an upward action in the arms. There isn't. It's only ever back. So now, if I turn onto the side here, what you'll notice, when this back's straight like this, I also want a neutral cervical spine. So I get in this position, I look straight ahead, and then I remember what I'm looking at. Come up like this, and now I remember what I'm looking at straight forward here. And then what I want to do is transition between the both of them. What that does, because I'm looking for that same spot, my neurology won't allow me to bend over, because then I'd have to bend the neck up to look, and that would be a car crash of a movement. So as you come in here, look in there, look in there, look in there, look in there, look in there. That's how you transition between the two. I'm just trying to show you that standing. There we go. So from here, get what I'm looking at from here. And you really do generate some power with these. Any questions? Righty-o. But first up, we've had a little bit of a reshuffle. And Jules is at the top of the list. Standing or kneeling is up to you, Jules.
Yeah.
Just share something with you there. I'm just opened just had delivered a pack of venison jerky. It was a variety pack. I pulled one out as it was coming up, and I've got the devil's wrath. Jesus, some spice in these things. It's outrageous. It's like eating a handful of lava. But anyway, back to Jules. Pick your spot.
Oh my God, are you okay?
Yeah.
That's good, that's yours. We can see how the planks are inhibiting you a little. Because you can see how the planks are inhibited. Yeah, because
they're too long.
But you can't get the grip that you'd like, that your neurology would trust that you can create the amount of power you can create.
Yeah.
Not fly out through the window, which would be an undesirable end, like, you know.
Yeah.
But good action, though, mate. I'd like to see that when the clubs arrive. Santiago. Your camera's pointing a bit high, I think. Pick that spot first of all when you're down in the flex position. Pick the spot, excellent. I would suspect you'll be able to go to the proper place on the handle on the clubs as well now. So good correction, well done. Excellent. Really good. What you can see is getting that bit of snap in the hips, and that's what you want to see. Okie doke, well done. Any questions, Santiago? How'd that feel?
I think that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. DJ, you're next up, mate.
Hold your breath. Wrap around first, like a hug.
So have your chin a little closer to your chest and see what you're looking at in that position. That's it. Get neutral. That's it there. Now see what you're looking at, and I want you to return to look at that after each rep. So get into a standing plank or a knee. Yep, that's fine. You don't have to do the hip action.
Wrap.
What? I'm just trying to think of a strategy how I can get a bit of hip extension in there, but not risk a failure in the movement.
You want to just try standing, or doing tall knees without the clubs.
Go back.
What I'm sort of thinking, and I'd probably best trying it myself first, so you can see a little bit of exploration here. I'm thinking to try to put some extension into the movement, but then not trying to hold the position at the end. And so you can sink back down onto the heels. First bit of thought about on this, so it might not work at all, but if we're not applying too much force, I think that might work. So if we go from here, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So if we go
quick, but not quick for
big
control.
breath in, and then so all you're actually thinking about is coming up straight, but you're doing it by transferring the force into the clubs. You're not moving the clubs with the arms. You're moving it with the hips. That's what you've got to get in your mind. You're moving it with your hips. And so, and just think, yes, you're pushing yourself up, you're going to come back down, but just get that concept in your head and that movement intention that you're going to move the clubs with your hips, not with your arms. Yeah, your arms will act as a conduit. And you're just going to come up like that and sink back down. Yeah, that's fine, mate. And think more about control than about violence on this one. Don't worry, we'll get to violence. That's it, mate. Keep integrating the breathing. Excellent, and then down. Excellent, mate. How did that feel, TJ?
It's not good, right? It's a little out of control.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you thought you had some semblance of control in there, where I suspect the challenge in the control would be is actually in the deceleration. It's keeping the control after the initial force production. So coming back down under control. Would that be correct?
My tendency is to go backward.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Needs to go backward.
Yeah. I think that's fine and probably only natural. Because what your neurology would have to work out is a little bit of compensation to when you're on the down slope to lean forward again, to put the hips back into more flexion. And so maybe try it again. And what can happen here is I can give you some instructions, and then actually doing the movement can get too overwhelming and the latter instructions will disappear. But what I'd like you to try to do is look at that position at the start. Think exactly what it. In fact, if Julie could put something in a position, put an object, I don't know, a cushion, a ball, or a small animal. If you could, right? But that's it. So you've got to make sure that you find yourself in that natural balanced position, sort of leaning forward. And then you want to come back to that. So yeah, straight away there was more control there. Integrate the breathing. So big breath in, and then when you come out, and then breathe in and look at the strap. Breathe in, look at the strap.
Yeah.
Not that bad, mate. There was a lot of good stuff in there. It wasn't a total success, but there was a lot of good stuff in there. Now,
Little out of control.
yeah, I think, obviously don't be reckless with it, but I think there's something you can practice there and start to gain a bit of competence at. And a bit like I was saying at the start, focus on getting competence in doing it at the shallow end first. Don't just keep trying to go deep and trying to survive with it. Get competence at the shallow end. Tom?
Yeah.
And it's really good, Tom. Something you can polish it up with a little will be your hand position at the start. What you want is, so you've got this 90-degree position you want to finish in, and then start. You want them pointing like that at the start. So, and then. Don't get me wrong, this is me trying to really polish up what is a good exercise already. That's it, mate. Maybe have your chin a little lower when you come down. Go back to that start position. So yeah, that's it. You want to try and get as neutral a spine as possible, and then explode out of that. Excellent. Well done, mate.
Thank you.
Corey, next up, bud. So it's going to be tempting to look at the camera, but you want that chin. That's it. So neutral spine. Get chin down. So chin to the chest. A bit more. That's it. Find the spot you're looking at, and then explode out of there. You synchronize that breathing. You're coming down a little bit too deep, and that extra bit of depth is coming from flexing the spine, which is putting the brakes on you a bit. And you've got to come up proper straight. You really get those hips to snap. Yes, get the hips to snap out. Hips have got to punch forward into what everyone knows what the exercise, the plank is. And you want to go into a standing plank so that the whole thing is solid from shoulders down to the backs of your heels. That's great, Corey. Well done, mate. Timur, next up, buddy.
Okay.
Excellent. There's some force there in that, mate.
Yeah, there's too much.
Timo, that's great. I'd say as long as you that's the thing, is to put the power into the clubs. If you don't transfer all of it into the clubs, it's sort of got to go somewhere, and then it will end up just sort of like destabilizing the torso. But mate, that was a shining example. That real good force generation, but also static control. Well done, mate. Rook. Oops, that's it. All right. That's really good, Brooke. But can you try to finish with the clubs in a vertical position? Great starting position. That's better. Now, as soon as you did that, that got your arms into a better position. That's really good now, Brooke. Really good. Great stuff. Excellent, Brooke. Rob. Just sink those hips back. That's it. And then power through the hips. Yeah, well done, mate. Just get some real snap in those hips. That range of movement through the hips. So they really got to go back. So are your toes tucked under, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah. See if you can go with a flat foot, because that will give a bit more range of movement available to your hip. everything that you're doing is really good, but it looks like you're not getting getting the hips back as far as would benefit you. Yeah, so can you get those hips back onto your heels? That's it. So if you go back from there, I mean, you're probably better showing us a different angle, mate. You either go on the side or facing. But I just want to make sure that the hips go as far back as they can, because that will just give you more room to generate more force. So take the hips back down to the heels. Yeah, sink them back deeper, mate. And chin, that's it. Chin down a bit. So you're looking at from there. Excellent. Now explode out of there, mate. And throw those clubs behind you, not above you.
Yeah.
You got to snap. You got to snap those hips forward. At the moment, Rob, you're moving the clubs with your arms. You're generating the force at your arms. You want the force generated at the hips. So the hips have got to punch forward with the hips. Yes, that's much better. So punch forward with the hips and the arms go behind, not above. That's one we got to work on there, Rob. I'm trying to think what's going to be the best way of doing it, or trying to translate it, because yeah, I'll have to have a think on that.
Would it be easier if I told Tom?
No, well, what it is, what you're doing is when you're not taking your hips into it, you're coming from here, and then you're moving your arms up, and you can't really do that powerfully. I mean, it'd be very difficult for me to do it powerfully. What's happening is your hips are only going back to there, and so that is all the hip extension that you're getting. What you should be getting is from there. You get it from there, and then the thing, see the snap, bam, that you're getting in the hips.
Yeah.
Now, I can't generate anything like force in the hips if I don't use the clubs. The reason for that is the energy's got to go somewhere. And if I haven't got anywhere for the energy to go, my neurology realizes that, and it puts the parking brake on the hips. But if it knows it's transferring it into this, and these have got to move these really rapidly, it says, okay, and it takes the parking brake off, and the hips can really generate that power, pass it through this stable core, and then produce that. If you see, the arms are going like that.
Rather than up.
Yeah, they're not going up. Yeah. But the key thing, and I think it's the difference for yourself, is you're not getting the range of vertebral flexion and then extension in the hips. Right. So I think what you want to practice first is that movement coming down onto the heels, and then just trying to come up, squat up quickly from there. And get the head, so you got a neutral spine. Pick the spot you're looking at there. Then looking straight forward. I think that's where you need to start with that one, mate. Reese, are you just looking in, are you, mate? You don't want me to you don't want to have a go at any of this?
I'm gonna order the clubs, and I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna try and get them to arrive on Monday. I'm gonna find some ones that like arrive fast with the Amazon Prime.
Excellent. Right, so have we got anyone left on that one? Apologies if I missed you out. Timo, have you done this one?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
I think Amber got away.
Yeah, and she's staying quiet, isn't she? What's she like? Where is she? She's still here?
I think she left.
Yeah.
Eight.
Yeah, she dodged that one. Fair one. Okay. Next one up is the rotating pendulums. So start in the crucifix position. And then the really important part, if you need to focus on anything, it's that whenever an arm comes through the front, it's swinging through the 6 o'clock position. If ever you see a flaw in this movement, it's to bring the club back like that. It's not so much people can sort of like swing it round about here when they're coming through because they know they're trying to go up on this one. This exercise also gets called Statue of Liberty because you're sort of finishing as if you're holding the torch up. But this is the beating heart. And so first of all, you can try it like that, just with one arm. One arm swinging like that. Then, when you come across the body, rotate with it, rotate back, rotate with it, rotate back. Then, 2 arms. And so you have to emphasize that you're breathing in when you're swinging across, out when you go into the crucifix. In. Any questions? Now, this is where I think Tom's dip at the knees might have been creeping in from. Because we do want a slight dip in the knees when we're standing on here, because that will help recycle energy. Because we want to use gravity as much as we can on this. We want to go with the swing, and then you hold the club up at the dead point, and then you let it come down with gravity and assist it through. So try not to hold it in the Statue of Liberty position, Tom. You just want to have the dead point. So you want to assist with gravity, and when it gets there, and then when the momentum's gone, let gravity take it back down rather than holding it static. There, much better. Now, as I say, you want to use the dead point, but don't hold it static.
It's a habit that we talked to break, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a lot going on with this, so it's a complex movement, and it's the one that I always say is the best training drill I know for trying to get the walking pattern, because you've got so much going on that is necessary for walking. You've got the contralateral pattern of the arms going in different directions, having to coordinate with a dissociating spine while you're also on 2 points of contact with the earth is, it's brilliant. And the fact that it's dynamic as well. Do as much of that as you want, Tom. That's great. Timo?
Nice.
Great, Timo. I also think if you didn't have to navigate the bed, you would have an even cleaner motion. Well done. Brooke, are you familiar with this drill?
No,
Right.
I'll try it.
Well, we'll see how we go first of all, and then we'll see if we need to do any drills. Tell you what, I'm just going to annoy so many people that you've just got that so quickly. Right, so the one you want to think about is that right arm. So you want to take it through the 6 o'clock position. Sorry, not the left arm rather. So when that left arm swings down the front, you want to be pointing at the floor with the club.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it, like that. And if you just, brilliant. That's way better straight away. Right. That's quite funny, that, because you picked up the basic pattern brilliantly, except it had that slight flaw with the left arm. Then, when you went to correct it, the first one you did was brilliant, and then now the sort of pattern's upset a bit, and I think it is that classic bit of having to try to get out of your own way. And so just give yourself a pause for a second there, Brooke. Okay. And I think you can just have a little go with that drill I was showing you before, where, first of all, and especially with your left arm, just get swinging it like that. So it's coming through the 6 o'clock position and it's pointing down. So you want to start with the left. And breathe in, out, in, out. Then, as you come up to the Statue of Liberty, I want you to rotate, point in that direction, and then come back. Then, slow time first, I want you to use both of them. So, and then pause, and then think about the next movement. Just know the one that's going behind you, that'll do its own thing as long as you send it behind you. Just concentrate on the front one coming through the 6 o'clock position. All right, let's have a look. So slow time first. Bring that left arm. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Perfect. Pause and think about it. Yes, I'm back. Perfect. Yes. Yeah, just integrate your breathing with that. So you're breathing in when you go into the Statue of Liberty. And then breathing out when you go into the crucifix. Brooke, you're like a secret shopper. The way you're nailing these. That's outstanding. You just get really comfortable with that. I wouldn't worry about doing it quick. I wouldn't worry about anything other than just getting really familiar with that pattern.
Okay.
Once you get really familiar with that pattern, then you start thinking about trying to be graceful and expansive. But get familiar with the pattern first. Otherwise, it'll, then you'll have to think about things, and the moment you think, it'll just fall apart. But that was really impressive for the first go at that. Certainly better than my first ever go.
Yeah.
Rob?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Good job.
That's great, Rob. Whoa. Yeah, good correction. That's great. Well done, Rob. Excellent, mate. Corey. Were you standing for that then, Rob?
No.
No.
I'll
That's
have the,
yeah, that's the next progression for you then, mate, and that'll do you the world of good.
Mm.
Right, Corey. All really good, because you've obviously got the pattern. Forgive me trying to talk with this chemical fire in my mouth. For you to improve on this, you need to be getting more thoracic rotation. And so what I would suggest is slow it right down and just try to do a couple of reps, slow time, really focusing on. Yeah. Now, did you see how you bent and how you bent forward again there? Stay like a post. Stay like a post in the middle, because that flexion. I think what's happening, instead of dipping at the hip, the knees, you're also dipping at the hips.
Yeah.
And then I think to try to keep balanced, you're flexing in the spine. The moment the spine flexes, it's then going to have so much more difficulty rotating. So get yourself like a post. That's it. And so that shoulder's pointing at the camera, really good. Now you want this left shoulder pointing at the camera. Nearly as good, but certainly better than before. Yeah. So you want to focus on keeping that spine really straight. And then, so when you keep it straight, you can get that thoracic rotation. Excellent. Really good. When you watch the video back, you'll see exactly what I was talking about. If you look at the earlier ones and look at those ones there, and then what we want to try to get to
will help.
Well, what we want to try and get to is get the fluency of those first ones, whilst you're also getting that expansive rotation. And
I think when I go fast and I turn, it gets a little off balance.
Yeah. And so I would definitely, I mean, it was the thing I was laboring at the start of the session, just really emphasize that technique. And if speeding up loses the technique, well, just spend a bit more time at that technique. You know, and potentially you can go for speed within one rep and then pause at the extremities, either in the crucifix or in the statue. Yeah, and so that's it. And then just pause there. Because you're getting that dip in the hips, flexes the spine, and then the rotation just goes. So good amount for you to work on there, which, you know, at the end of the day, that's going to be something which will cross over into all of your movements. So as ever, we should always just be encouraged when you find something to polish.
Well, thank you.
Excellent, mate. I think TJ will give you a pass on this one, or would you want to have a bit of a go? If you want to have a bit of a go, be my guest. And remember to swing through the 6. Yeah, and turn and look over your left shoulder. That's it. And swing them back into the crucifix. Yeah, that's cool, mate. Now the other way. Yes, well done. This is awesome. Glad I didn't skip over, mate.
Thanks.
And look, that's it.
Good job.
That's great stuff, TJ. Excellent, mate. Well done, bud. Jules, let's see how we go with this one. Is somebody getting robbed there? Who's that? Sounds like somebody getting mugged.
You on the tongue. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. That's good, Jules. Can't, yeah, can't quite see the head. Didn't know if the head was turning. I think it is. Yeah, yeah. It's a little bit similar to Corey. In you need to try to get more thoracic rotation, and so in order to do that, try to separate the reps. So you hold the end position, and so you can actually, and so what you want to do with each end position, you want to see if you can test and adjust. So consider where it is and where it should be, and if you can adjust it to where it should be, do so, and then go into the next rep from there. So, for instance, when you rotate and swing, you want to end up in that Statue of Liberty position where you're holding the torch up as if you're. Remember Eric Degatti, when he was explaining this one, he said you want to think about it as if you want to throw the Indian club into the ceiling. So you want to be holding the arm up and above. Now, potentially that might not be a rate. Yeah, better. Yes, much better. Yeah, oh, straight away, that's huge improvement, Jules. Way more rotation as well. Excellent. Well done, mate. Well done. And you just reminded me of a way to illustrate something there. As I was mentioning, Jules' thoracic rotation when he was coming across, because he first of all, he was just sort of coming to there. Well, because he wasn't trying to get his arm up there, that wasn't putting sufficient demand on his thoracic rotation. So he was just sort of coming there like that. But if I stay square on here, that's as high as that arm is going, really. Not with a swing. If I keep yourself squared on and swing into it, that's as high as my arm's going to go. But if I want to get it up, I'm going to have to rotate to get it up. So you can see how the intention of throwing it up into the ceiling causes that rotation. So that might be a good cue for you to use, Corey.
Yeah, I like that one.
Throw it into the ceiling.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rob, I put you on mute, by the way. I thought were you getting attacked by your dog or something? Righto, who've we got next? Santiago hasn't done this one, has he? And I say hold the clubs at the bottom for this one because you want to get that's it. So you can get a little bit of leverage on them. Excellent. So you and Brooke have been practicing this, haven't you? And so what I would say, because you've got that so good, the two things which you can look now to try to improve that. First of all, you can start bringing your feet closer together. The closer your feet are, the more it will allow that spine to rotate. I mean, God knows it's rotating enough anyway. You've got excellent thoracic rotation.
Down on the floor. No.
Nice.
Yeah, that's really good. And what the only thing I would say here is when you're returning from the Statue of Liberty, you're losing a bit of momentum as you come across. Just try to keep that nice flowing speed back into the crucifix position. That's it. And when you're in the crucifix, have the clubs pointing to the ceiling. If you can, that's it. And so that should fits in with that throwing them into the ceiling when you go to the other side. And each time, just hold it at the dead point. You know what I mean? A dead point. Yeah. If you throw a ball straight up in the air, it'll reach the top of its flight, and it'll have almost like a slight pause before gravity gets hold of it and brings it down. That's the dead. That's the dead point. Mate, this venison's killing me. That's great, Santiago. Right, who have we got next? Who's the bell tolling for here? Is everyone gone? Rightio. Well, that's an hour and a half. There are some more movements which the guys from the Movement Project are going to be familiar with. I'm not going to try and put them in here, not so much because of the time. I would have been happy to carry on, but I think it's possibly a case of sort of tell you everything, teach you nothing if we try to put any more movements on top of what we've already had here. So apologies for those who wanted to get into the windmills today, because that would have been the next progression. But I think everyone's got a lot of stuff where they can polish up on it. So any questions about any of that, or anything in general, really, on the movement front?
Great stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all, TJ. You can continue in that improvement curve, mate. If you think of the stuff you were just doing today, never mind the progression with the quadruped movement recently, you're coming on so quickly, mate. Brilliant to see.
I've got a lot of reason to walk.
Yeah, right. It's just all about making tomorrow's you better than today's. And if you can do that, that's all anyone can do. You know, and you keep focusing on that proximal target. And that's what'll keep giving you that dopamine hit as well, like, you know. All right then, guys. I will see you on Monday.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks.
Steve.
Ta-ra.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.